So now that I've launched Visual Studio, well, I'm going to do reset window layout so it looks as close to what you see as possible. Hopefully. We're going to create a new project. So go do new, file, new, project. And we need to give it a name. Call this one in class 0 or IC0 followed by your initials, GGT. Don't put any spaces in the file name. What we are doing is we are making what's known as a console application. So choose from all the templates that are installed, Visual C++. Actually, let's do it a different way this semester. I need to write these instructions up, but I've been telling people, here's what I've been telling people to do, and this works. Don't do this. To choose console application, then go in and unselect all these things, and then go in and watch it go, and you'll see that it adds a whole bunch of Microsoft specific junk to it. If I'd remember that it would take so long. Okay, yeah, so this is all sorts of Microsoft specific stuff, these T-cars and underscore T-main and stuff like that. So then you had to delete all that. Well, why go to all the trouble of creating that if we're going to just have to delete it all anyways? So let me do that again. New project, template Visual C++. Let's try empty project. And the project name in class 0. Initials, and what we have here is our Solution Explorer, which is kind of divvied up into folders here. The most important folder for us is the source files folder. If I had gone ahead and done it the other route that I showed you, it would have created a CPP file there. And CPP stands for C++. It's a file extension that is added to all these C++ files that we're going to create. But there's not one, so I'm going to choose Add New Item. So I right-click on the thing that says Source Files, choose Add New Item, and I want a C++ file. And I need to give it a name. If I don't give it a name, it's going to be the default of source.cpp. Well, that's actually good enough for this, isn't it? But I'm going to change that name also to in class 0. JT. Now there we go. There's a little bit of boilerplate code that you're going to need to be adding to each and every program you write. And it'd be nice if the other way that I was showing you created boilerplate code that was actually useful. However, it creates boilerplate code that is Microsoft specific. And I don't want to teach you how to write Microsoft programs. I want to teach you how to write C++ programs, because C++ is meant for any number of platforms. Your car's computers are probably running C++ programs, and Mac software and Linux software and this and that, all written in C++. So let's add a comment block to the top. What is a comment block? It's a series of lines that the program ignores, but that gives us useful information. All of our comments are going to start with // the slash that's next to the shift key, not the backslash, the one underneath the question mark. And so we're just going to put our name, the date, and what this is in class assignment 0. Now really, there ought to be a better description of that, but I'm making this up as I go along, so I'm not going to put a good description there. Now here comes the boilerplate. At the top of every C++ file, there will be an include statement. The include statement tells the language what libraries to pull in to give it functionality. And in this case, we're going to pull in a library that lets us display stuff on the screen and lets us read stuff in that people type on the keyboard. So just about every program we write in this class is going to have this line, include IO stream. Let me zoom in on that. I know that that text is insanely small. There we go. # include, space, although the space could be removed, it would still work. Angle brace, which is the shift comma, IO stream. IO like input output, and then stream like a river. And then a closing angle brace. Now we're going to define a function. For the first few days, just accept some of this, on faith. What does define a function mean? Kind of like teaching Luke how to use a lightsaber. Put the thing on his head and make him swing blindly at it. And that's what we're doing now. We're swinging blindly. Okay. There's another line of text that I want to put above the word main, though, which is using namespace std. What a namespace is that inside of IOStream, there's a specific set of variables and function calls you can use. And if I don't have this statement here, I need to preface all the things with std : : I'll give you an example. Don't type this. But what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to send a message to the screen that says hello world. Now, I had to preface it with this std : because I did not have this statement. If I have this statement, I can remove that. It makes it a lot easier if you do using namespace because COUT is not the only thing that needs prefacing with that std : If you're going to ask somebody for input, you're also going to use something that starts with std. If you're going to send a new line character all by its lonesome rather than doing a /n here, yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so let me finish making my silly changes to it, and then I'll stop and I'll let you all type that in. My brain totally ENDL. Right. Okay. And then lastly, return 0. Now this business with the repeated angle braces, the less than signs, you will pretty much only see that in this language. But you'll get used to them really fast. If you've done other programming languages that didn't use them, then it will look a little bit alien. But like I said, you'll get used to it pretty fast. So now that I've typed all this in, the likelihood that I typed it all in correctly without any syntax errors is small. The likelihood that you copied what I did and got it all correct is even smaller. So if you run it, or if you try to build it and it doesn't work correctly, don't get frustrated. So after you do save all, come up to the debug menu and choose start without debugging. Yeah, there's a green arrow over here that you could also choose, but don't do it that way. Just choose debug start without debugging. It'll say it's out of date. Say yes, I want you to build it, and then as a matter of fact, close that thing that says do not show this dialog again, because of course we want to build it. And it tells you what it's doing. You can kind of read these messages. They're kind of written in geeky terms that are not intuitively obvious perhaps, but we can get an idea of what it's doing there. And it worked. If it compiles successfully, you will see some kind of success message down here. Succeeded with 0 failures. Now what would it look like if I made a mistake? Well, say that I hadn't used the right kind of quotes there. I'd use single quotes rather than double quotes. Which is plausible because in some languages those are interchangeable. Then I run it, it's going to blow up. It says there were build errors. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? Absolutely no. Don't ever choose yes, because you don't want to run using a prior version of the program. You made some changes and you want to get them to work. So you click no, and you come down here and you look. It will try to tell you what the error is. Now you may not understand the message that it's telling you. You may have to Google up that specific error message and get an explanation of what it means, because they're sometimes a little bit cryptic. For example, right now it says too many characters in constant. You go, what? I don't know. But at least it's underlined. It's taking a good guess at telling us what is wrong. And in fact, it's because you use single quotes to define a single character like this. Don't type this. That's opposed to something with multiple characters like this. That is how you define something with multiple characters, is with double quotes. That is how you define a single character with single quotes. This is what's known as a string. So if I say string, or you're using a string, or if you're using something that has more than one character involved, you're always going to be using double quotes. Double quotes we will use far more often than single quotes. And for those who have had Python, that is a little bit different, because in Python you can mix and match those. Lots of scripting languages you can mix and match those. Okay, so get it all typed in, do a save, do start without debugging. It'll run. How will you know it worked? It will run. And it's running so fast that we don't even get to see the output. So before that return statement, we need to stick something that will cause it to pause. And it's kind of a drag that we have to do this, and we could modify the system settings for this particular project so it wouldn't have to. But this is how you get it to pause. And this is kind of Windows specific. So if you're doing this on a Mac at home and you need to add that command, it may be a different command that you need to add. Google it or let me know and I'll help you with that. What this does is that this word system means, I don't know if y'all, too young to have used DOS, but if you go to the start box and you type CMD, you get this command prompt window, this command window, where you can type in commands. And you may have had to do that, like if you're recovering a bad partition, or you're editing some files in order to get a game to run or something like this. This may not be alien to you, but then again it may be. One of the commands available to you in the command window is pause. If you type pause, all it does is tell the computer to display this message, press any key to continue. When we issue a system call in C, what we're doing is we're saying, I want you to run the pause command that's built into the operating system. Why do we do that? Well, so that when it runs, it stops the program and we can actually see what it did. You saw what it was doing a minute ago. It was closing that window before we could even see it. So by sticking that pause in there, we get to actually, see what our program did. Other programming environments would put the output down in a window down here. But Visual Studio doesn't do that, so that's why we need to do that. So this little bit here, missing this line, is pretty much boilerplate that you're going to be using over and over and over and over and over. You may just want to copy that and stick it in some note file, Launch Notepad or something. Copy that code out of here. Do save as and save it to your desktop. Call it boilerplate. .cpp or even .text, whatever, And then it's available for me to use the next time. Why did I comment that out? Because not every program we write is going to have a cout statement like that. But they're probably all going to have that # include, and the vast majority of them will have that namespace unless I tell you not to. They will all have a main, that main line. They will all have a return statement and before that a pause so that you can actually see what it's about to do. So that's what I mean by boilerplate. It's stuff that's going to be repeated, just about every time we come to class and I have you do an in-class assignment. And every time you do something at home, it's also going to have these lines of code. It'd be good if you had them memorized, but don't have to have them memorized. Nothing wrong with copying and pasting. Okay, so I've been talking about file extensions. I said everything has a CPP extension or something to that effect. I want us to go find where this program is stored. It is likely stored in our Documents folder. So pop open Windows Explorer, click this folder down here. And if you're using Windows 8 or Windows 10 on your laptop, stuff may be a little bit different, but and then go to Documents, you should see something that says Visual Studio 2013. You double click on that, you see a whole bunch of things, but what we want is projects, because remember what we did at the very beginning, we created a project. Here we go. These are the two projects I created. One of them had 3 initials. That was the bad one. I don't even need that one. You don't need to delete anything out of here, but I'm getting rid of that one. And then this is the one I just created. When it's time to upload your project, the best bet is for you to do a save all and then close the project. So do save as, you don't have to do this, close project, that's what I recommend before you upload. Then minimize. If we go into that, we're going to find some subdirectories. All we're looking for is a file with the CPP extension. There it is. And it's pretty goofy. It says cpp.cpp. That's my mistake. When I was typing in the file name, I forgot to put a period, so it went ahead and added a period.cpp. When you go home, you may not see these extensions. In fact, you may not see them right now. That is because it's configurable whether you see file name extensions or not. And again, it varies based on what version of the Windows operating system or the Mac that you're using. But what you do is you go to Folder Options. On Windows 7, it's under Tools. Tools, Folder Options, and then under that middle tab called View, one of these checkboxes is Hide Extensions. And by default, Windows ships with extensions hidden. So that when you're looking at files, lots of times you don't see the extensions. You don't see the thing after the period. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It kind of makes an arbitrary, decision about what it's going to hide from you. If I had named this file correctly, it wouldn't have that CPP there. And so when you were getting ready to upload it and I said, give me your CPP file, you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't know which one was the CPP file. You could div in O. He means a C++ source file. It's much easier, though, if you can see the extensions. So when you get home, you're doing this stuff, or if you're not seeing extensions right now, go to Folder Options, go to the middle tab, choose unclick the Hide Extensions, and there we go. There we get our beautiful CPP file. That's what I want you to upload. There's 2 things you can do when you give me a project. One is you can just give me the CPP file. The other is you could give me the entire project zipped up. Let me show you how that looks. Either one is totally cool, and in fact my instructions may sometimes say, zip up your project and give it to me. But I'm not going to complain if you only give me the CPP. But you have to give me the CPP or I can't grade it. What it would look like if you zipped up the entire project, if you've never created a zip file before, let's say that I went back into Documents, I went into Visual Studio folder, I went into Projects, I found my project. Hey, there's my project. Do right click and do Send to Compressed Folder. That makes a zip file. This zip file contains all of the files that are in this folder. Everything in the debug directory, everything in that folder, every subfolder is included in that zip file. And you know what zip files are. You've used them. You double click on them and they launch some kind of extractor and you can go nosing around in them. If you want to submit it to me like that, that's totally cool. If you want to give me just a CPP file, that's also totally cool. Why would you want to zip up the entire project? So that you could take the whole thing with you, so that you could take it home. When I'm grading these, I just need to look at the CPP file, and I'll open it up, and if I want to compile it, I'll copy and paste it into a project. So you don't have to give me the project, but if you're going to distribute it to anybody else, or for your own sake, it's good to zip the whole thing. Yes, sir?
Will 7-zip open tarballs, gzips, or vzip?
7-zip. I don't know. WinRAR will open all of those,
Okay, is that
but I
what
don't
you're
know about
using?
7-zip.
The reason I ask is I will have a tarball.
That's totally fine. I'll be able to open those. I never use 7-zip. So if I can't open it with Windows regular zip, then I'll use WinRAR and it'll open it right up. There are different kinds of compression programs and compression formats. And that's what that question was asking. And if you're a Linux user, then you're not using zip files nearly as often as you're using tar files, different kind of archiving. And it used to be that on Windows they used something called Stuffit. So you'd see files with an SIT extension. However, Windows has gone over largely to using the PC.zip format as well. And then there's another one called RAR. And if you know, you're a person who's used BitTorrent and stuff like that, all that shady stuff, you may be familiar with RAR files and a program that can do that. But you can always, if you're using Windows, compress something just by right-clicking it and choosing Send to Compress Folder. You don't need to do any of these other options. You don't need to do 7-zip or, install something else. Every version of Windows that's been released since, 2000 has the ability to create a zip file. But I'm also equally happy just to get the CPP file. Alrighty, now that we have that file, did everybody get that to work? I forgot to wander around and make sure that everybody got it compiled and running. Everybody got it so that it'll run, and then you have that pause command in there so it shows it. Don't be shy. If you didn't, I need the exercise really. I got to work off some weight. I'm happy to wander around. Okay, I'm going to assume that we all did. These in-class assignments are easy points. You just show up and you type some stuff, you get something working. So if you do the typing, you may as well do the uploading and get the credit for it. So let's see, C++, I'm still in student mode, which is good. So I'm going to go to the Dropbox. There's no Dropbox there, so that's not good. Let me get out of student mode and make it. So this is in class A. All right, you'll notice I called this one 0 and this one A. The stuff we do in class will be named by letters, A, B, C, D, E, and F. The stuff that you do at home will have numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just an easy way to distinguish them. And yeah, I numbered this one 0 to remind you that programs start counting at 0. However, there's no letter before A, so we use A. Okay, so in the in class A folder, going back into student mode, go to the Dropbox, refresh it. How you refresh, you click on the the little circle to reload it. You'll see the folder. Even though there's no attachment there, there's no description of what we were supposed to do, you'll know what day we did it because I'll put a due date on it. And the due date will be the day that we did the in-class assignment. And you'll go and you'll check the video. Watch the video, type along with it, and upload what you get as a result for that if you missed that day. So I'm going to click on in-class A, click Add File. I'm going to go find that CPP file. Some people make a zip of the project and then they copy that zip to the to the desktop or whatever. But mine's in Documents, Visual Studio, Projects. There's that zip file that I made. I could zip it right here and now if I wanted to. I could right click and do Send to Zip File. But instead I'm going to go find that CPP file. So I'm going to enter the project folder and I'm going to enter the subfolder that has the same name. And I'm going to find the .cpp file. I don't need these other ones. I just need the CPP file. It'll say C++ source next to it. Then make sure you click Submit. Make sure you see File Submission Successful. Click Done. And there we go. I've got a submission for it. When it's graded, if I grade my own assignment, I can be really hard on myself. I might just give myself a 1. Anyways, then you'll see that there. You'll see your grade there. You can click on your feedback there. So what's your homework assignment? It's just to install Visual Studio or whatever programming environment you're using if you're not using Windows. And get that Hello World program to work at home. I commented mine out, right? So it doesn't do a dang thing when it runs. Don't comment yours out. Leave that line there. When you want to open your program again after you've closed Visual Studio, you're going to do Open Project. File, Open Project. And you're going to be looking for what's called a solution file, which has the extension .sln. So you'll go back into your projects directory. You'll choose the directory for your specific assignment. And you'll see a .sln file, which if we go over here, we see that it stands for Microsoft Visual Studio Solution. You double click that and there we go. All your files will be created here by the side. Now I've done some renaming of my file names because that CPP was inaccurate. This may be totally blown. I if this is going to work. Yeah, I've messed it up. You won't have this problem. Don't change your file names through the operating system. That's the message. I just wanted to make it look exactly like it should on your end. If you need to add, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to add that file back to my project, you do that with add existing item instead of add new item. So if I do add existing file, I should be able to find my CPP file. I'm sorry I'm confusing y'all with this. I was just wanting to show you how to get back into your program in order to edit it further. The easy way is just to find it under recent projects. But if you're bringing it home from school or something like that, it won't be there. So load up Visual Studio. File, open project. You can go down here, recent projects and solutions. If it's there, perfect. Choose that one. If not, choose open project. Go to the directory where you saved it. Find a .sln file. That's why you would zip the entire project if you're going to take it home with you. And then there's your file, and you're ready to go. You can keep editing it. Eventually, we will start using header files as well. So we will be placing some things in the header files directory. We will not want to comment this out when we do it at home because we want it to display a message. There were build errors. What have I done wrong? No, I do not want to run the last build. Thank you so much. Okay, since I don't see what your error is and I'm not seeing the error list, I'm going to come over here to build, rebuild solution. Really? There they are. No such file directory. Okay, I'm still suffering side effects from having renamed that file. There, finally it's going to work. Yippee skippy. Okay. So you can run it through this thing, which is known as the debugger, or you can choose to do it without debugging. The difference between them is that if you're doing it with debugging, then you can step through the program line by line. And I'm going to demonstrate this real quick, but we'll do it more in the future. If you're not going to be stepping through it line by line, you may as well run it without debugging because that's faster. It loads fewer resources in order to do that. What I did is I set what's known as a breakpoint. A breakpoint will stop the program at that specific line number. So I'm going to run it in the debugger. Boom, it stops there. It hasn't printed hello world yet. So then under debug, one of these commands is step over. Now that I do that, it has executed that line. And so if I find where it's running, there, it has printed hello world. And if there were extra things for it to do, then it would show up there. Now I'm going to execute this line. So I come back up here to the debugger and I do step over again. It now runs that system pause command, which sits there and waits for press any key to continue. Now that I've done that, it's pointing to this line, saying that the next thing it's going to do is return. A return statement is saying, okay, get the heck out of here, we're done. You know, beam me out of here, Scotty. So that will end the program. So when I do debug, step over, it ought to just close the program. If it doesn't, then we can always press the little thing here that says stop debugging. That's the debugger. Trying to show you that there's a difference between choosing start without debugging and just hitting that green arrow. And although that green arrow is faster, you know, for you to click, it's faster to actually run if you do start without debugging. But then if you ever get into trouble and you can't figure out why your program is not behaving the way you want it to, then going into debugging mode and watching it go line by line is by far the fastest way of learning what it's doing and spotting the problem. And I hope you get really good at that because as a professional programmer, you'll be going into the debugger all the time in order to figure out what's going on. It's a good way of learning the structure of the program, and it's a good way for fixing errors. All right, why don't we call ourselves done for the day? We won't be getting out early for the rest of the semester, but I think that this is an appropriate amount of information to embed on the first day. So on Wednesday, we'll start doing lecturing proper, hitting the pretty PowerPoints, and working on more in-class stuff to comprehend the material that we're covering. So are there any questions? Yes, sir. Sorry. So we're done. If you want to bail, that's totally cool. Sure. Unable to start. The system cannot find the path specified. You may have changed it because I changed it. These are supposed to be double quotes. Let's see if that helps. That's particularly odd. Whenever it gets into a state where I completely don't understand why it's doing it, I just close it and I open it again. Let's do that. Go back in. No, don't open the CPP file. You actually have to open the SLM file. There you go. Right. Now we should be good to go. Give it a shot. Well, what do you know? Okay, in that case, we're going to try to do a clean and rebuild all. It deletes everything. Not everything, but it deletes all the temporary files. And then build.
Whew, that's good right now. So, I
That was on.
chop this on a box right now, so do I have to resend that to you?
You don't have to. No.
I don't have to. For the assignment at home, so we do the same thing like this one?
Right, exactly.
Exactly same.
Same program. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
So are we just posting it differently for the homework assignment, or?
You will put it in the other Dropbox,
Okay.
in that one called Homework Zero.
Over 0.
So it's the same assignment, okay.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Just to prove that you can do it at home as well as here.
Oh, okay.
Or send me a note saying, I don't want to do this stuff at home. You gotta be kidding me, I'm gonna do it at school. So, then you know one way or the other.
We have 9 of here.
Cannot open that. Reason it's doing that, and this is kind of aggravating, but once we start adding that pause command there, it means that that executable is open. It's kind of like when you have a file open in a word processor and you can't erase it. We have to close those windows before we can rebuild it. Now it goes. Yeah.
I never saw him in the code. I keep reading it 3 times. It's like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we just send you the homework now? Or?
Well, if you're not gonna install it at home,
Oh, okay, I got you.
yeah, I want you to install Visual Studio at home and do it. Do the same thing we did here.